Hello friends. My boss thinks I am a fool. If I ask him even a small doubt, he will start from the basics and go on and on explaining for half an hour. After a couple of minutes, I will lose patience and finally, what will happen? I would miss the point he wanted to explain. A class teacher says, I get headache whenever I think about that one student in my class. For 5-page answer questions, he writes only less than 10 lines and he says he has nothing more to write on it. These are some of the examples we face daily in our personal life as well as work life. A few people think and talk only a few lines, even when a detailed report is necessary. Whereas some talk more even when a short reply would suffice. Let us see how we can handle such people. Maybe to start with, let us classify them into two categories based on how they think and how they talk. Let us call the first type as big chunk people, those interested in the big pictures in any given scenario, those interested to summarize rather than expand, those that listen only to the headlines in the news channels and don't bother about minute details, those that think and talk less. That automatically means the second category has to be called small chunk people. They are interested to know minute details. They are skilled to talk for half an hour, even for one-word questions. They always want to go into the details and the specifics in anything and everything. Let me clarify a disclaimer here. Big chunk people can also be small chunkers in some areas, and the small chunkers can be big chunkers in a few areas. We categorize them as big or small chunk people based on what they mostly try to exhibit outside. That's all. It is not stamping them as this or that category. Everyone can act differently under different circumstances, right? Remember the saying, a man is the boss in office, woman at home. There is a funny drama called Veettula Eli, veliyila puli in Tamil, meaning a man acts like a tiger outside and a mouse inside the home. Now, let us go into the content of this video. If you are a big chunk person, you will talk to the point. You think in global terms without going into the details and the specifics. You should be told of the summary first for you to listen to the details. If you are a big chunk guy, you have the ability to see an overall picture of an event or a project or the whole organization. If you are a small chunk person, let us say, you think in minute details and then chunk it up to get an overview. If anyone asks you how to go to a specific place in the city, you will even draw a detailed sketch map and hand over them. Or in extreme case, you yourself will take them and drop wherever they want to go. If you are asked what you are doing, chances are that you can even start since the day you started the career some 10 years, 15 years ago. By the time you come to the current month job details, the other person will lose his patience. If you want to develop rapport with them, with the people who are small chunk, you should try to explain things to the minute details. Sometimes more than once for them to understand. We need people of both the caliber in this world. Some to work on the overall scenario and some to go into the minute details of things to do for achieving the overall project. If you are a big chunk person, in extreme cases, chances are that people will ignore you and your needs unless you open your mouth and speak on what you want from them. Close family may misunderstand your silence to think whether you love them or not. Unless you talk, you can't maintain friends. You will have only a few close friends if you are a big chunk. So now the deal is like this. You be as you are 80% of the time. Please try to talk more 20% of the time. This will balance your needs as well as the family, whatever they are expecting from you. If you are a small chunk person, chances are that in extreme cases, people will think you are stealing their time, isn't it? They will get bored because you don't let the other person talk at all. So for you also, the deal is 80-20. You be what you are, that is small chunk most of the time, and only 20% of the time try to talk like a big chunk person. You can build rapport only when you talk less to big chunk guys and more with small chunk guys. Suppose you are a big chunk student, you can start noting important points from each of the paragraph you study. You may feel overwhelming to recollect the whole chapter in one go. So, are you all okay for the 80-20 deals? That is 80% you be what you are and 20% of these try to match the other person, whether they are big chunk or small chunk. I got a two-wheeler license in 1992. After getting the license, I went to the office by my bike the first time. I thought just to increase the accelerator and it picks up the speed. So I went at more than 70 km speed in that residential area. My friend had seen me and was surprised because I was driving on the first day itself after getting the license at this wrong speed, that is more than 70. When I was about to reach the office, the truck driver who was going in front of me applied a sudden brake. I should also apply the brake to avoid accident. I didn't know in which gear I was driving during that time. I looked at the number on the left handle side to see in which gear I was driving by that time. Then I forgot the steps to apply the brake. I had to reduce the accelerator down to speed so that the speed will be down, apply the clutch and then lower the gear and apply the brake to stop the vehicle. By the time I finished half of this work, my bike rammed on the truck and halted by itself. I didn't do anything. By coincidence, the truck driver had just applied brake on seeing a speed breaker. The truck had just crossed the speed breaker and my bike climbed the speed breaker and rammed. If not for the speed breaker, my face would have been smashed because the speed in which I was driving. So, for applying the brake, so many steps were involved during the initial stages. When you think of so many steps for applying the brake, it is called small chunking or chunking down and looks like a lot of work. After 2 months, my friend who was in the pillion told me to apply the brake as someone was about to cross the road, and I applied in a moment. Now it has become a big chunk involving just one task, that is applying brake. In 1992, I did not know how to apply the brake, performing all the associated tasks simultaneously, and so it seemed like so many small chunk steps for me. But now also, I don't know consciously, but my hands and legs know how to do that without even being in my awareness. Now the whole of driving itself has become a big chunk, leave alone applying the brake. This is an example to show we can either treat one task as big chunk or small chunks. When you set your goals, you set them as big chunks. You can then chunk it down to create and monitor different milestones on the way to reach your goal. Sometimes, depending on the level of chunking you do, you can link either pain or pleasure to an activity. Vice versa, depending on whether you want to link pain or pleasure to an activity, you can either chunk it down to a number of tasks or chunk it up to create only a fewer tasks. For example, let us say your wife says, we will go to T Nagar for shopping. It is a congested area where all the big shops are located. Everyone knows. She links pleasure to shopping, and so shopping is just one big chunk or a single activity for her. Depending on how you use chunking for this activity, you can either link pain or you can link pleasure from this shopping activity. Suppose, let us say, you think like this. Yesterday itself, I wanted to fill fuel and check tire pressure for my car. I have to do it now while going. T Nagar is the worst area for driving. Finding a parking space is like a hell there. I have to park somewhere and walk back to the shop for shopping. After seeing 100 sarees, my wife will like one, and then she will ask, I like this saree, but do you have this same design in green color? Then we have to start all over again or go to some other shop looking for the green color saree. If this shop is far, I need to take my car and park nearby this new shop and keep walking back and forth. Anyhow, if we go now, we can't return home for dinner. So on the way, I have to watch for a good veg hotel. Many hotels have limited parking only, and I am going to find a parking lot for my car during dinner. Oh my God, going for shopping to T Nagar is a huge task that should be avoided at all costs. Suppose if you think like this, what happens? So here you chunked it down and linked pain seeing these many tasks. Some people can link pain first and then chunk it down to so many tasks to justify that it is painful. Now, let us say you are working in the same area and you are paid 1 lakh rupees a month as salary. Now you drive happily daily morning and daily evening. You can park anywhere and walk even 2 kilometers one way to your office and come in the evening 2 kilometers without any complaints. Because now you are just thinking you are going for job. Job has become a big chunk involving a single task, and so no pains anymore. Remember, we learnt in another video what you link pain to and what you link pleasure to shapes our life. This is applicable in chunking up and chunking down also. See you in my next video. Until then,